Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer, where we are going to unpack the absolute staggering logistics and psychology behind one of the internet's most massive creator challenges. If you ever found yourself wondering just how these giant, large-scale influencer events are actually pulled off behind the scenes, you are in exactly the right place. Today we're putting a microscope to a real milestone in digital entertainment, that incredibly viral, real-life recreation of the hit show Squid Game. We're going to see exactly how an independent creator managed to pull together a logistical masterpiece that, honestly, rivaled traditional television.
All right, here is how we're breaking this down today. First, we'll look at the ultimate scale of the challenge, then the brutal elimination funnel, the engineered emotional friction, the unique business model that actually funded all of this, and finally, the high-stakes finale. Let's get right into it.
Starting with part 1, the ultimate influencer challenge, setting the scale. To really understand the commentary around this event and why it became such a massive cultural moment, we first have to wrap our heads around the unprecedented size of what was actually built here. We have to kick things off with the ultimate hook, right? $456,000, a truly life-changing cash prize. I mean, a number like that immediately establishes intense stakes for everyone involved. In the world of influencer challenges, throwing down $500,000 instantly shifts the dynamic from just a casual game among friends to a fierce, life-altering competition. You can literally hear it in the contestants' voices as they talk about giving the money to their families or paying off debts. That kind of money grounds the whole spectacle in profound reality.
And competing for that massive prize? An incredibly huge cast of starting players, 456 people to be exact. I want you to just imagine the chaotic logistical hurdle that presents for the production team. Think about the sheer manpower required to coordinate, film, and monitor nearly 500 individuals all at exactly the same time. We're talking about a level of crowd control and spatial organization that you usually only see in major Hollywood blockbusters.
Which brings us to an absolutely mind-blowing number, a production budget of $3.5 million. This right here proves we are looking at a monumental feat of entertainment engineering. I mean, from perfectly recreating those massive, colorful sets from the original show, to outfitting every single player with wireless popping squibs to simulate elimination, this budget tells us that the ambition of digital creators has entirely bridged the gap with mainstream media.
Okay, moving on to part 2, thinning the massive herd, or what I like to call the brutal funnel. With that massive scale established, the creators had to figure out their first big design challenge, using the early games as hyper-efficient weed-out mechanisms. You just can't maintain 456 individual storylines, so you need a way to cut that crowd down fast. Now, what is genuinely brilliant here is how they safely adapted a notoriously brutal fictional show into a real-life format without losing 1 ounce of the visual tension. So instead of real bullets, obviously, they strapped small popping devices to the players that first when they failed a challenge like red light, green light. Instead of handing the finalists real weapons at their celebratory steak dinner, they got plastic knives. They managed to perfectly capture the suspense and high stakes of the source material while guaranteeing total safety. It is literally a masterclass in format adaptation.
And just look at the brutal efficiency of the game design here. They took a chaotic starting cast and slashed it down to a manageable size in almost no time. So they start with 456. Red light, green light instantly eliminates over 200 people, dropping them to 232. Then, boom, the honeycomb game, where they have just 10 minutes to carve a shape out of a fragile cookie. That brings the count down to 142. They even go as far as offering players a $4,000 buyout just to walk away, which successfully thins the herd even more. By the time they finish Tug of War, where they were literally dropping the losing teams into a giant foam pit, they are down to just 60 players. It's an incredibly engineered funnel.
Which brings us to part 3, engineering emotional friction, the human stakes. Because to keep viewers hooked, a large-scale challenge like this needs way more than just cool sets and a shrinking player count, right? It requires deeply engineered emotional stakes. And this is where the production team got truly diabolical. Take the marbles game, for instance. Notice how they built the psychological weight here. The production team didn't just let people pick random partners. Oh no. They intentionally monitored player interactions behind the scenes, tracked who was talking to who, and literally forced contestants to partner up with their best friends and roommates. And the twist? They then revealed that they had to play against that best friend, and only one of them could survive the round. And that dramatically shifts your focus from cold production logistics straight into raw human drama. Listen to this quote from one of the contestants. "We promised each other we were not going to screw each other over."
I mean, you have real people flipping a coin for $500,000 against the person they rode in with. Grounding the high-stakes competition in real, painful emotion like that is exactly what elevates a mere game into a compelling narrative. It completely forces us as the audience to emotionally invest in what the players are going through.
All right, let's look at part 4, funding a massive spectacle, the business model. Executing these insane sets, tracking complex player relationships, and handing out millions in prizes leads us to a really important question. How exactly is a $3.5 million challenge funded independently?
Well, instead of your traditional, totally skippable ad break, the production flawlessly weaves their financial sponsor directly into the physical mechanics of the challenge itself. To replace a violent brawl from the original show, they introduce the paper-flipping game Dokji. But they don't just stop there. They make the brand, a mobile game called Brawl Stars, an active participant in the story. They actually tell the players that if they literally yell, "Thank you, Brawl Stars," before they throw their piece, they might just win. It turns a mandatory sponsorship integration into a genuinely entertaining, participatory moment right inside the game. So smart.
Finally, we've reached part 5, the high-stakes finale, psychological pressure. As the numbers dwindle from 60 all the way down to the single digits, the architecture of the challenge pivots away from physical skill or strength and leans entirely into pure luck and overwhelming psychological pressure. Just watch how a dwindling clock completely escalates the tension during the glass bridge game. Players have to jump on glass panels, some hold their weight, some drop them straight into a pit. With 13 minutes left on the clock, people are jumping pretty steadily. But by the 8-minute mark, a massive stall begins. People realize the mathematical odds are totally against them, and they flat out refuse to move. At 3 minutes, it's a total standstill. People are desperately pleading for someone, anyone, to take a leap of faith. The production design here perfectly weaponized human self-preservation. When that clock finally hits 0, 4 players are still stuck on the bridge refusing to jump, and they are instantly eliminated. The pressure just cooked them.
And then, the final pivot. To ensure the final elimination was entirely unscripted and accessible to everyone watching, the creator made a brilliant strategic shift. Instead of playing the actual Squid Game, which has complex rules that a lot of global viewers just don't understand, they pivoted to musical chairs for the final 6 players. They stripped away all the complex rules, ending this massive ordeal with a super simple, high-anxiety playground game. And the tension is so palpable, players awkwardly hovering, accusing each other of sitting early, all while blindfolded producers control the music. It is a universally understood anxiety, and it works perfectly.
Looking at the whole picture, it truly puts into perspective the massive, chaotic funnel required to crown just one winner of that grand prize. We started with a staggering 456 hopefuls crammed into that first room. We watched that number get brutally slashed down to a final, very quiet dinner party of just 5 contestants. And finally, after an agonizing game of musical chairs, just one ultimate winner walked away with $456,000. It is just a monumental feat of logistical execution from start to finish.
So here is the crucial question I want to leave you with. As independent creators successfully engineer and execute massive, multi-million-dollar logistical spectacles like this entirely on their own, where does the broader entertainment industry go from here? If a digital creator can seamlessly blend high-stakes human drama, flawless brand integration, and Hollywood-level sets into a single viral challenge, what really is the future for traditional television? It's a fascinating shift in the landscape of entertainment for sure. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember, always keep questioning how the media you love gets made.